Hello and welcome back to another episode of It's Risky Business. I'm one of your lovely hosts, Sten Garcia.
And I'm his other lovely host, Amanda.
Oh my God. And we're back. Hold on. Let's give ourselves a round of applause, right?
I got a coffee in my hand.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, we are super excited to be back for season two of It's Risky Business, and you're gonna love how this all came together.
Yeah.
We're really excited because we have been coming to HGAB Studios in Midtown near Wynwood for quite some time now.
Yeah, right in the middle, like at the beginning of the pandemic, we were like, we need a space where we can get creative and share some words.
And well, it was because of the pandemic that we decided to start a podcast.
Yeah.
So that we can continue to spread the message of entrepreneurship, of taking chances, of taking risks, and building your dream business and pursuing your passion. So we came to HGAB, and they already had a great podcast studio at a great price. Yeah. And of course, because they are fantastic entrepreneurs, they are continuously leveling up, and that's exactly what they did. I mean, now they have these cameras, they have a fantastic setup here, and we're really excited to get back. So major shout out to HGAB and the whole crew for supporting us, and definitely come check them out. We're going to be doing more events here. We're going to be recording season 2 of the podcast here, and it's just going to be a good time. Good
time. It's good vibes here. The people that you meet. I mean, we were in the lobby and you already ran into 2 people you knew. Yeah. So it's kind of like the cheers of spaces for creatives, right?
Yeah. Well, what's their tagline? Creatives live here?
Yeah, basically.
So
we do.
We are excited to get back into this It's Risky Business, a podcast about pursuing your passion, taking some risks, and in some cases turning your side hustle into your main hustle, and being successful. You know, being unapologetic about the kind of money that you want to make as a creative, as an artist, and as somebody that is offering up your gifts and your talents to the world.
Yeah. And I think this season is going to change format in a couple ways. One, you know, just by the formality of the space is different, but also just because I think we are more open to talking about the risky business of life in general and how it integrates into our work and our passion and our purpose. So we're going to get a little bit more raw in this season.
Because also it's like we can't just talk about business all the time, because a component of business is personal struggles and what you have going on in life that ultimately affects how you show up as a business owner, as a professional. And I feel like the mistake for a lot of people is to think that they can just forget about what they have going on in their personal life and just
dive into the professional.
Dive into their business and almost use it as kind of a coping mechanism, right?
Yeah.
So this is the kind of conversations that we want to have, and we are going to have this season. We're going to bring in local entrepreneurs, local business owners, some brick and mortar business owners that have decided to pursue their passion and opened up a shop, whatever that may be. We have some in mind that we're going to bring in. And I think that I'm really excited to get into that, because myself and really both of us in photography and videography, it's kind of a business that you can do without actually having to open up a storefront.
That's right.
Or an actual office, although we both have had offices. But imagine how many more obstacles there are when somebody gets an idea for a business that they actually have to have a store,
physical space,
a physical location. So Amanda, tell us about what what I guess kind of like a recap since the last episode that we had, since last season.
I kind of felt for a while that something was going to crack in my life. Like I kind of just felt like I was holding, and I've told you this before, like I was holding 2 ticking time bombs. I just felt it, and I could feel it in my body, and I kept like just changing my diet, and then I was like working out like crazy, and I'm like, it's got to be that. It's got to be like something, physiological. But lo and behold, my life, pretty much blew up at the beginning of this year just through a series of things within my life. And I knew that when it happened, I could take two routes.
Mm-hmm.
One was to let it smush me down and lead me down a path that I'm not so sure really felt like me. And the other path was probably going to be the harder one, but I was going to just like chase the light and go super inward and dig out what it was. Like, what were those bombs and why were they there? What had I been holding, or what had been a part of my life or around my life that was just waiting to crack and break, right? So just started going inward and changed my internal structure, everything about me, changed my thinking about the world and people. And it really meant that I had to change my relationship with my work and really just focus on me so that I could be a full cup that I could then pour from, to use the metaphor. And that process is still in action. So this season is going to be, I hope to be pretty open. I hope. We'll see how it goes.
And I believe that process is always ongoing. The personal work, right? And I think that what's interesting about the pandemic is that I feel like it really affected everybody on their professional side, on their business, on their career, whatever it is that they do for money, and also on a personal level.
Yeah.
Whether it's, relationships that they have with people, with loved ones, with family members, or the relationship that they have with themselves or lack thereof. And, it's the ripples. The ripples from the pandemic are ongoing, and there will go on into eternity and ultimately alter the course of each of our lives, really. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was, since the last episode of season 1, there has been a lot of developments, a lot of great developments, a lot of not so great developments. And I think that on a personal level, it's definitely the relationship that I've been able to develop with myself. Yeah. Through the pandemic, I obviously I sold a wedding video business, and really that deal was more of a licensing agreement. Mm-hmm. I was able to license out the procedures, the protocols, the templates that I developed. Yeah. Basically the method of how to capture a wedding, the love squared way. And I licensed that out to a phenomenal husband and wife team that quit their jobs and are running the business, and they are now
thriving,
super successful. Yeah. They, in their first year of business, they did over $100,000 in sales.
Amazing. In a pandemic.
Yeah, during the pandemic, which I think was what's great about that is that, you say, oh, they made $100,000 in sales, but what about all of their overhead? Mm-hmm. They're running the business out of their home. They don't really have overhead. Yeah. So
they get to do it together.
And this is why it's been amazing, because we have talks and coaching sessions all the time to catch up. So that has really lifted me up in many ways. Yeah. But on the personal side of things, I've been dragged down, pushed down through the difficulty of going through a pandemic alone. Yeah. Right. I haven't had a relationship, haven't been in a relationship. And, anything when we're going through serious hardships, it helps to just have somebody there to lift you up. And, I have friends and I have family, but it's different when you have a lover, really a partner in life there to uplift you. And that's where I realized that I was really missing a relationship with myself, because you should be able to just get through the tough days and feel confident in who you are and that things will get better. And instead of going to some coping mechanisms and other things that I know that I was doing in the past. So it's really been fantastic for me. And I also started to pick up a lot of video production work, because of course there was the financial scare of the pandemic that ultimately affected a lot of us. And I've been able to figure it out, to get through it. Yeah. And it's really been fantastic.
Yeah, I think definitely that building, or number one, like just really recognizing what your relationship with yourself is. Once you can kind of identify that and analyze it, then you can know what are the empty parts that you need to fill. But we are, and I think pre-pandemic, or as we call it, BC.
before
COVID.
COVID. Yeah, BC.
In the BC era, you know, we poured, and I'm speaking from my behalf, and I think you would say the same from your end. Like, I poured myself into everybody else and my career. And the gauge, I think, would be like, well, how do you feel when you go to bed? Drained.
Yeah.
Drained. Well, that tells you right there, empty cup.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just literally pouring from. And there were, of course, like, I felt satisfied by like the work I did and how like happy my clients were. I feel a lot of personal satisfaction from that. Being able to pour into my friends and family, the organization, like, I get really, really fed by that. But it's good, and it's okay to accept that maybe you're an empty vessel at the end of that process. So being able to identify that and then understand like where the emptiness, you know, really lies, and then committing to do the work.
Yeah.
And knowing that it's okay, that it might take a while, and letting people see it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time in my journey, and saying it here on camera, that I've like really let people see me. And it is still hard for me to articulate it because it's such a new process. And on top of that, it's new for me to be transparent about it.
Yeah.
But I think the more we have these conversations, the more I have these conversations, number one, it deepens my relationships with others because we're able to really connect in a shared story. But I think it also makes us feel like not crazy.
Yeah.
Like everyone is going through something very similar. You know, different circumstances, different relationships, different processes within themselves, but everybody's going through it. Everybody's going through something. We have to talk about it. We have to create the space, and that's risky business.
It's risky business.
It's truly risky business because you really getting to know yourself. You don't really know what you're going to find on the other side, but the only way to figure it out is to go through it. Continue to discover yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And that level of transparency is so liberating, right? Because I think that a lot of times, depending on our upbringing, or just because we feel like we need to have this mask and uphold the look of this life that we're leading, a lot of times maybe because of social media or maybe because of our family and our upbringing, we just kind of get so lost in that mask that we're wearing that we forget to just kind of look underneath the mask and check how we're doing, you know, and just be honest with the struggles and the trials and tribulations that we're going through. And I guess, and even more so as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, because you're also dealing with things in your business, which is your baby a lot of times. So you're emotionally attached to your business, unlike somebody that maybe just has a 9-to-5 that they're kind of coasting under the radar, just doing enough to not get fired. And that's really how they're coasting through life. But, you know, when you're an entrepreneur, you're dealing with both sides of it. You're dealing with you in your career, in your day-to-day life as a business owner, and then you got to deal with the personal stuff also.
Yeah. What were your main tasks once you identified what you needed to do to build a relationship with yourself? Like, what did you do?
Well, so the one thing that I did, which I think it might have been two. I think it might have been two things. Number one, I had always wanted to cook. I just wanted to cook for myself because I was buying meals out all the time. And there is
coping mechanism.
Yeah, I was just out, just throwing money in the air, just buying a ton of food all the time, never really cooking food for myself or eating at home. And, you know, you can get into this whole thought process of like, well, that's what I work hard for and this stuff. But, you know, you should be able to manage your money and save where you can, because you should be able to eat at home. Eat some home cooked meals. And I always wanted to cook because I always felt stress when it came down to deciding on where to go and being home and not having food and being like, man, I have to order something. Now I have to wait for the food. I have to maybe go out and get the food. And it's just empowering to be able to cook for yourself, you know? So I, through some friends of ours, Noelle, who puts together a program for cooking and nutrition and recipes. I got her program and I started going through it and cooking for myself. So I would put music on, I would get all the ingredients, and I would start cooking. And through that process, through that experience, it's like creating a relationship with yourself, with me, because there was little moments where I'm like, oh, I dropped, the paprika.
You're like,
and I'm
silly
like
you.
laughing because the paprika is all over my slippers. I don't know. So it's like a moment where you just kind of start to get to know yourself because you have to do this process. And then the reward is you get to feed yourself. You get to nourish yourself after. So that was really a big part of a moment where I realized that I'm in control of my life and my actions, and I don't always have to be around people. I mean, what I was doing prior to that is that I was in the habit of going to a bar every day after work. My office was in Midtown. I was running the wedding video business out of an office in Midtown, and every day I would go downstairs to Tap 42 because I didn't have food at home and I wasn't going to cook for myself. So I'd go downstairs, I'd have a meal, and I'd have a beer, at the bar. And then I was making friends with the bartender. So I was just down there having a conversation because I also had nobody to go home to.
Yeah.
So it was difficult for me to think, man, I don't have anybody to go home to. I don't have any food. I can't make myself food. Yeah. So I got into this pattern of going to Tap 42, spending a ton of money, and then developing these single serving relationships with people at a bar. Yeah. And ultimately that just kind of drove me further and further away from myself, from my true self.
It's so interesting how we add these things in thinking that they're filling us, and maybe they do for that very moment. But the second you're on the other side of it, you realize like that actually it's like eating junk food. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm full now. And then 20 minutes later, you feel like garbage.
You're like shit. Yeah.
You feel like garbage and you're malnourished. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing that happens when we, fill our proverbial cup with things of the moment, fills it up for that time, but we end up feeling empty on the other side.
Yeah. So, through that, and then also diving further into dance. I love to dance. So I'd be at home and I'm like, there's nothing to do. Instead of me calling people and trying to figure out who I can hang out with, I'm like, let me just throw on some tunes and start dancing by myself. I mean, it's just
you took yourself on some nice dates.
Yeah. And it's really empowering. It's really, it's freedom. It's freedom because, and I'm sure somebody listening to this right now knows exactly what I'm talking about. I could not spend time by myself. I had to always call somebody for a lunch, for a coffee, for a dinner. Every single weekend, I needed to be with people all the time. And sometimes it's like, you should be at home resting resetting, and doing something for yourself, not always having to be around people. Because think about it, when you're around people, you always have to be on, right?
Well, and it's such an exchange of energy.
Yes.
When you're around other people, that if you're constantly giving, you're the kind of guy that like you're just giving out energy, but you also absorb. And we talked about that yesterday. Being by yourself just gives you a chance to regulate and like reset your energy so that you can then step out and like be more genuine, have those authentic interactions.
100%. So, that was months. That was months and months of doing that, and really on purpose, just hanging out on my own at home. And now I'm in a place where, just a kind of an example that happened recently. My birthday was on October 1st. And usually I was the kind of guy that made this huge deal about my birthday. It was like, it's my birthday month.
Yeah.
It's like the whole October, Libras in the house. So you're also happy belated.
Thank you.
Birthday was a short while ago. So I was just somebody that always needed to make a big deal, call a bunch of people, and just do this whole extravagant thing. And this birthday, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have just a birthday on my own. And I went to a coffee shop. I read. I had a coffee. And then I went home and took a nap.
Wow.
It was on a Friday. I went home and took a nap. And then when I woke up from the nap, I'm like, you know what? I want to go to the movie theater. I've always wanted to go to a movie theater by myself. I've never
solo viewing
had the balls to do it. And I did it. I went to go watch a movie on Lincoln Road, at the theater on Lincoln Road, and then I went for a walk. I felt like a tourist.
That's beautiful.
Like a tourist.
Yeah, yeah.
I was taking photos of myself like a tourist.
Oh.
And then at the end I wrapped it up with sushi dinner on Lincoln Road.
That's perfect.
All by myself.
Oh
I mean literally the entire day I saw nobody that I knew.
So
and
good.
let me tell you, it was liberating.
Wow.
It was really fucking liberating.
And I remember you had said that you wanted to set that intention for your birthday. And I said to you that I thought that was so powerful to know that you had done all this work in the year. And really that's like the culmination, like, as I say, the work is working, right? Like all the work you had been doing on yourself brought you to this big day for you that used to have a different connotation. But because you had done so much work on yourself, you felt confident and like it was a necessity to celebrate in such a way. Mm-hmm. And I think that's super powerful. Like that tells you how far you've come. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. It was really great.
I'm excited to see who we're going to get in here and see. I think people are, I'm experiencing that a lot of people seem to be pretty open and transparent about what the pandemic meant to them. But beyond that, like what is the work that they have been doing on themselves and how it lives in connotation to their professional life and their purpose. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited to dig into conversations with people and hold that space for them and, you know, be able to have a conversation around that with other people.
Yeah. It's going to be great because we're going to dive further into mental health and everything that comes along with starting a business, scaling a business, turning your side hustle into your main hustle, because it's part of it, right? It's part of the whole package of the story. And ultimately it's, you know, this season is going to be about making sure that people understand that if you have an idea, if you have a calling, if you have a passion, it's going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be difficult, but for you to pursue it will fill you with so much more life. Yep. Will really give color and texture to an otherwise sometimes bland life. If you get into the hamster wheel of the rat race and the things that end up happening in life, if you're not actually pursuing your passion and things that really like activate you. Yeah,
that's right. And I think the challenges bring about a dynamic life and a colorful life. Like the challenges that come, especially as entrepreneurs, like they come, and if you accept them and you take them on, it really creates like a very dynamic way of living. Mm-hmm. And you commit to going along for the ride. I think it's a cool journey to take. But that said, I think we need to have people in our circle to go through it together. Mm-hmm. We've talked a lot about, in the last season, we talked a lot about it, where as an entrepreneur, and I think specifically a creative entrepreneur, there's this feeling that you're like on an island. Mm-hmm. Like there must be nobody else that's going through this, or surely I'm probably the only person that doesn't know how to file my taxes. Mm-hmm. You know, you just feel like you're so alone in the journey. But I think one of the most important parts of being an entrepreneur is surrounding yourself with people that are on, you know, the same journey. Yeah.
And having the conversation, right? Not feeling embarrassed that you don't know things like how to file taxes and bookkeeping for your business and things of that nature, which are super, super important. And I think it'd be interesting to have somebody in here that can talk a little bit about that. Maybe, you know, we'll have Jessica Schraben. Yeah. Or have her back. We had her in season 1. We had her in season 1. Season 2. So maybe we'll sprinkle in some professionals that will be also giving advice and some good tips. Yeah. Oh, and we're gonna bring back the pro tips. Remember the pro tips?
Do we have a pro tip for today?
Tips. Did we miss a pro tip in conversation?
I feel like the whole conversation was a pro tip.
An entire pro tip episode. We're just gonna call this episode pro tip.
But a pro tip, if we could be intentional about it, would be to know yourself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Scan yourself. Like scan who you are and take the time to do it. Mm-hmm. That's risky business.
It's risky business. It's risky business to take a look at yourself.
Yeah. Truly. And bring people along for the journey. Yeah. Allow them to challenge you. And perhaps if they've gone through certain things before you, allow them to teach you.
Fantastic.
That's good stuff. That's a pro tip.
So I think I'm feeling good.
Yeah? That's a wrap?
I think I'm feeling good.
You just want to get that chocolate.
Yeah.
It's over there.
Yeah.
There's a chocolate bar behind the camera. And
I've been looking at it this whole time. I'm a chocoholic.
We'll talk about that on the next episode.
I'm a chocoholic. Hello, my name is Sten Garcia, and I am a chocoholic. There should be a Chocolates Anonymous.
I'm pretty sure there is. There's an anonymous for most everything. And
I mean, really, because there's times that I get home and I'm like, it's late. It's 10 o'clock. I'm not going to have any chocolate. And then I'm like digging through the drawer looking for the last piece of dark chocolate that I know I have in there somewhere.
But you know that chocolate highly affects your sleep, right?
Really?
Yeah. We're going to talk about it. We're going to have a chocolate sleep episode.
Chocolate
or we'll
sleep.
just talk about it after we hit stop on this and we'll just chat it out. But it's a real effect. It is caffeine and it's sugar. Yeah.
Gonna look into that.
It's good stuff. Says the one who drinks coffee before I go to bed.
Well, you know, my family does that also. It's like normal.
Yeah.
They have coffee right after dinner.
Yeah.
It's like just like they're drinking milk, basically. So I feel good. I like this setup. I'm getting comfortable. We're gonna have some people in here. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Make sure to connect with us through our Instagram account, CFC Miami, because this podcast is also brought to you by Creatives for Connection, Left Brain Networking for Right Brain Individuals. We have some fantastic things happening. So check us out, CFC Miami, and also definitely check out HGAB Studios. They're doing fantastic things. If you're a creator, definitely come through here. Their prices are phenomenal. The people are phenomenal. Their setups are phenomenal. And other than that,
that's a wrap.
Get out there and make some shit happen.
Yeah.
I mean, really. Because listen, you get one fucking chance to make your life spectacular, to tap into the best version of yourself. And you got to try.
Yeah.
You're not just going to wake up one day and magically be the best version of yourself. You got to wake up and take a look at yourself, become self-aware by basically just asking yourself some questions like, why did I do that?
Right.
Why did I say that? Why did I stay in that relationship? Why did I not stay in that relationship? You know, so it's very, very important to the path of greatness and fulfillment, because I know the person I was 10 years ago.
Yeah. And
I know the person that I am now, and I'm just so grateful for the journey because.
And imagine who you're going to be in 10 years.
Oh my God. My nipples are erect. Let me tell you, my nipples are erect in excitement.
That's a man with real zest for life right there.
Every time I do an Instagram video where I talk about my nipples being erect, everybody DMs me. They love it. I don't know why they find it so amusing, but
it's provocative.
Provocative. Great word. Word of the episode. Provocative.
We're going to do a word of the episode.
Pro tip.
And a pro tip.
Provocative. So that's our show for today. Amanda, you've been phenomenal. You're just a great human being.
You as well.
Thank you for being back here with this season 2.
Yeah.
And thank you also for being just so vulnerable, right? And there's just going to be more vulnerability.
Yeah, get ready. If you don't want to see it, it's probably not the place for you.
Yeah. There might be some crying.
We probably are going to drop some.
I'll cry. Listen, guys out there, have a good cry from time to time. Because let me tell you, it really just cleans out the soul.
Mm-hmm.
I had a cry yesterday.
Yeah.
Or was it Monday? It was Monday.
It was Monday.
It was Monday. See, we talk about
we talk about this stuff.
So that's it. That's what we got. Come back next week. We're going to be releasing another episode. We're just going to be getting further and further into taking risk, vulnerability, all of the good things. And I'm just really excited. Really excited about it.
Me too. I want to do like the YouTube thing where they say, pop your comments below. Do we have somewhere where people will pop comments below? Do we know what YouTube do? Pop? No, what I was going to say. Because I would love to know what people want to hear.
Yeah.
Like, tell us what you want to hear in the context of It's Risky Business of both life and work.
We are going to put this on YouTube.
Perfect. Then drop your comments.
So drop your comments.
Perfect. That's the first time I've ever gotten to say that in life.
Drop your comments below and also
follow and subscribe.
And
subscribe. What else we
follow,
say?
Subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. We have this whole professional setup happening.
Thanks, HGAB.
Yeah. Whoop, whoop. So we're going to be shamelessly
we're dropping
plugging
them everywhere. We're going to get a
just gonna sprinkle
air horn every time we bring up HGAB.
Get like a sign that floats in because they're sponsoring this whole thing. I mean, shout out to them for supporting
and they're homies.
Creators,
we love these people. We love these people and they support us and they know we support them.
Yeah. So in the comments, maybe ask some questions or come up with some topics that you'd like to hear about it in terms of entrepreneurship, pursuing your passion. And, you know, we're definitely in love with and very supportive of creatives, but also any kind of business owner. I mean, you know, because I think that would be interesting to find like a videographer that wants to become a lawyer, you know,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Because we support that as well. Like we just support
your passion.
Anybody that finds their passion and pursues it. We're not only talking about people that are finding their passion in something creative. Could be the opposite. You know, they probably ended up in something creative, but maybe they feel called to be like, you know, a bioengineer.
Yeah,
you know?
I love that. If you are a person like that, drop a comment below. We'd love to have you on.
Okay.
I love that. Good stuff. We're excited.
I guess that's it.
That's it. That's a wrap.
Peace.
Bye.